Good Monday morning for the first week in Lent. I hope I can get through this video. Lily's been barking at the door. She's restless as hell. Actually, it's a Friday afternoon, okay? And I'm trying to do at least one or two of these today. And these are the Lenten readings, and so they're very well coordinated, and they make a point. And it's interesting. Today's reading is from the book of Leviticus, and these are all your negative commands. You see, what does he say? You shall not steal, you shall not speak falsely to one another, you shall not lie, you shall not swear falsely by my name. See, you shall not defraud or rob your neighbor. See, you shall not withhold overnight wages from your daily labor. You shall not curse the dead, put stumbling blocks in front of the blind. Boy, these guys are rude. They talk about playing rough in the sandbox. You shall not act dishonestly in rendering judgment. See, show neither partiality to the weak nor deference to the mighty, but judge your fellow man justly. See, shall not go about spreading slander among each other, among your kin anyway. Nor shall you stand by idly when your neighbor's life is at stake. I'm the Lord. You shall not bear hatred for your brother in your heart. Though you may have to reprove him, do not incur sin because of him. Take no revenge, cherish no grudge against your fellow man, your fellow countryman. Very important line. You shall love your neighbors yourself. I am the Lord. You see, if you look at that very closely, all right, of whatever it's worth. I'm no scholar on this stuff, okay? But I show you something. What it is. You see in every one of those references, when he says your neighbor, your kinsman, this is tribal. Good to your friends. He doesn't say anything about your enemy, does he? Okay? So you take care of your own. You don't double-cross or defraud your own. See, that's real tribal religion. And it begins on this front. It begins with the centerpiece is your home. And in concentric circles, you move outward in terms of moral obligation. But once you get outside the pale, that is in this case, your tribal pale. The others, everyone outside the pale is your enemy. They don't come under your moral obligation. Almost, if anything else, your hostility. Honestly, that's tribal morality. And it is very much in the text there. You take care of your own, you see, and you treat your own fairly. That ain't Christianity at all. Christ absolutely flips that. And he does it in two ways. The first one is the most famous of them all, and that is the Good Samaritan. Enemies, they're mortal enemies. Yet the Good Samaritan is active neighbor. He acts in an active way towards an enemy. He takes care of the man, the Jew, who was robbed and hurt. So charity is, in a sense, justice and charity come together not as an obligation to your own, but toward all. So to be a neighbor is not to be in a relationship, an extrinsic relationship, but in an internal relationship founded in yourself that has to go out to the other. It's not what that I owe that other person so far as he has a line on me, is that I owe him just by him existing. That's Christianity. The very fact that that person is there, I have an obligation to be actively neighbor to him. And you get that here in the reading. I'll show it to you, okay? All right? All right? This is the gospel now. He said, when the Son of Man, this is Matthew, when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he'll sit upon his glorious throne, and the nations will be assembled before him. The nations, all right? All people. See? Not your neighbor in the narrow sense, in the Judaic sense, but all nations, all people, see? And he'll separate them one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. But watch what it is. It isn't by blood or lineage. It's by action. What did you do with what I gave you? You watch what he says. Okay? Then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father. Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. See? Who are from the nations, from all people, see? And here's what he says. For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. A stranger and you welcomed me. Naked and you clothed me. Ill and you cared for me. Think of the Good Samaritan there. In prison and you visited me. Then the righteous will answer him and say, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? When did we see you in prison or ill and we visited you? And the king will say in reply, I say to you, whenever you did for one of these, whatever you did for one of these least brothers of mine, you did it for me. Who's the brothers? The nations, people of the nations, whoever it is. See? Then he'll say to those on the left, get away from me, bing, bada, bang, bada, boom. I was hungry, gave me no food. I was thirsty, gave me nothing to drink, etc., etc. And they'll say to him, when? When did I do that? Okay? And he said, amen, I say to you, what you did not do for one of these least ones, you didn't do it for me. Okay? It's a different obligation. It's not the same as keeping your nose clean. It's that we have an active obligation to be good to the other. The obligation flows from ourselves, not because they place an obligation on us. The obligation comes from within us. We have to feed the poor. We have to bring water to the thirsty, etc., etc. So we have to care for whom? For the peoples of the world, the nations. There's the nations that are assembled here. See? That's a key word, nations. Because if it was the Jews, he would have said so. But he didn't. See? So who is the world? Who are the nations? Anyone who is brother and sister to Christ. And that's all mankind. And so it's a different morality. It's a morality of action, the Good Samaritan. See? The Good Samaritan. That we reach out to the world in need and we meet that need. You see? And therefore the judgment. Think of this as Lent. When you're meditating on Lent and you're thinking, well, what would be a good meditation in Lent? Okay, you could look for all the sins you committed during the past year. You could do that if you have nothing else to do with your time. But you could do that. And I guess there's something, what did I do wrong? See? Or what are my bad habits? You see? But there could be another way to look at it here based on Matthew's gospel. Ask yourself, what did I do right? That's a harder question to answer. It's easy to say, what did I do wrong? It's obvious. See? But what did I do right when I should have done something right? When there was an opportunity. See? And I'll give you an example, okay? I always make fun of the men, okay? Because I have to, because I think like a man, okay? And I think the guy says, Jesus, I don't know what the hell she's so mad about. I didn't do nothing. I looked out, you know what I mean? I did nothing wrong. Well, the good question would be, did you do anything right? See? I never cheated on her. Were you there? Did you hear her cry? Hey, did you hear her crying? Were you there for her when she was crying and when she was lonesome? Were you there? I didn't say you made her cry. Were you there when she was crying? See? If you're a woman, the old caricatures, were you too busy with your friends that you didn't hear your husband's tiredness from work? See? Did you reach out to him? See? It's not that you did something wrong, but did you do something right? Did you feed the hungry? Now it's not the physical hungry, maybe the emotional hungry, loneliness. Were you present to your spouse, your partner in life, your friend? Were you present, actively present? Did you lift the burdens off their back? Not because they asked you to, but you saw the burden weighing them down, and you reached and picked them up. Did you touch them because they were lonesome? See? It's tough to go to confession on something like that because there's no code for it. You don't have Leviticus to give you a code. What you have is Christ and the gospel. You have the mystery of love itself. And the compelling nature of love is that you give from the heart generously. Not because you had to give, but because you're driven by the beauty of love itself. You want to do it. You want to feed the hungry. You want to be a companion to another. Not because you get something out of it, but because you give something to it. You give to them. I think of that in giving gifts. Do you give a gift because you have to or because you want to so badly? To use a gift as a sacrament of your heart, saying to the person you love, I love you so much. I want this gift to be a symbol of my love for you, and may it bring delight to your heart. See? It's a different mentality. Christ tells us to go out to the world with a heart full of gifts. Give to the world. Hear the world cry. Touch the world. And those are the people that are in your life. The world is the people in your life. Those who providence has provided. You see? Actively love them. Don't ask what's in it for you.